Okay, hey you guys, it's Mr. Frank. We are going to run through the final phylum. This is our last phylum for the year. We're going to start with just a couple of groups in phylum Chordata. So, we've been in Kingdom Animalia for, since we've since we started our look at invertebrates. And we're going to look at so phylum Chordata. We're going to look at the invertebrate chordates, which is strange. So there's a couple of marine groups here, and we often call them protochordates. You'll hear that term as well. So at some point in their life cycle, all chordates, including vertebrates like humans, have a dorsal nerve cord, gill slits, a notochord, which is a flexible rod for support between the nerve cord and the gut, and also a post-anal tail. All right, so if you look at fish, reptile, bird, and human larvae, or embryos rather, uh, all of them have gill slits at some point during their development. And with humans, those gill slits are also called the brachial arches. Branchial arches. And they wind up as human embryo goes through development. They wind up becoming various parts of our hearing apparatus and also our respiratory apparatus, our windpipe. So this is evidence that we all evolved from the same common ancestor, all animals in animal kingdom, because they all have that. Okay, the marine chordates that again don't have backbones yet, so we're still without actual vertebrae, but so we're invertebrates. We're going to look at two, so the tunicates and the lancelets, and this will be actually pretty quick. So Eurochordata, the tunicates, a pretty diverse group of marine invertebrate chordates. So they're kind of on their way to evolving, more complex features. Although it's interesting when you look at them, they're often mistaken for sponges, which are also considered some of the most sort of primitive members of the animal kingdom. So their bodies are covered with kind of a leathery tunic. It's like a coating. And of all the tunicates, most of them are going to be also called sea squirts. Okay, and they have motile larvae, but then when they become adults, they become sessile, or they settle down on the bottom. And they're almost behave like sponges in that they're filter feeders, and they have incurrent and excurrent siphons. So they take water in through some of the openings and expel water through others. And they can be solitary. You can find them by themselves, or they can be in colonies. And if you look here, roughly 2,150 species of tunicate exist in the oceans of the world, mostly found in shallow waters. And again, when you look at these couple of species here, they almost look like sponges. Really beautiful. So Dendrodoa grossularia, species of tunicate or sea squirt in the family Stylidae. And this one's found in the northeastern Atlantic Ocean, shallow water, sometimes exposed at low tide. We can look at this one, the gold-mouthed sea squirt, also called the ink spot sea squirt. So another one. And these, they're pretty small, 2 to 6 inches. Again, two siphons, one at the top, one on the side. These guys are also called the ox heart ascidian. Ascidian's a group of tunicates. And these guys are found in the Indian Ocean, Western Pacific Ocean. I find them in the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, and anywhere between 5 and 50 meters of depth. Really beautiful. Same species again. You got the brachial siphon at the top, filtering out phytoplankton, and they expel water through the atrial siphon on the side. Okay. and lots of associations. Sometimes hydroids and different kinds of algae will grow on the outside of tunicates, and nudibranchs, um, Jackson, such as Nembrotha lineolata, sometimes feed on it. This one is actually laying rings of eggs on the tunicate. Okay, and then the other one, and this will be our final sort of invertebrate chordate invertebrate group for the year, and then we'll move into vertebrates probably after. Well, we may look at some next week. So these guys are separated from vertebrates just by the fact that they lack a backbone. Otherwise, they very fish-like in appearance, and so the lancelets are laterally compressed. So that means fish-like in appearance. They have bilateral symmetry. They're also filter feeders, and they'll filter plankton through their gill slits. Not quite the same diversity as tunicates, about 30 to 35 species um, of lancelets, and often they're found either wholly submerged or partially buried in the sand. And they can have 100 pharyngeal, almost like gill slits along their bodies. So okay, that is it. I will stop there. That was your final page. So you had that last page of notes. Hopefully you filled those in while we were going through this. And we will use some of the rest of class today to do some current events.